have to gesso things because I call gesso underwear for your acrylic paint. If you don't wear your underwear, you can get by, but something is not right. And we know, right? And this is in a way how I think about gesso. For me, for my process, I have to have that gesso underlayer. I just do. My underwear's got to be on because I'm doing so much acrylic paint. I mean, the whole paint store is being barfing into my journal, and it protects the paper. You know, you can do more. The paint will act like it's supposed to act, meaning it will be the right color, it will spread better, and you will use less paint if you gesso. So gesso is such an important part of, you know, what I go through gallons of it. Let me just put it that way. I could take a bath in gesso. Anybody not used gesso before?
Does it wrinkle the paper?
I don't know. I'm at peace with stuff like that. I put on such a thin coat as well. You know, I've been in class with Di, and Di's like, you never need gesso. And I'm like, and it's absolutely true for what she does, because just this will pastel out her gorgeous backgrounds that are so awesome. They look horrible on gesso. So, and then she uses gesso in just little amounts. Well, I use the inks in little amounts, right? So we kind of have an opposite process, which makes the versatility of the product so awesome. So thin coat of gesso, always with a knife, because this is how you can wash a knife. And if you put a brush in gesso, gesso's sticky. I mean, I'm not good at cleaning things. This is my personal craft sheet from home. So, you know, cleaning things is not my strength. I know, shocking. Are you scared? Yeah.
Almost right now.
when it gets really wet, because I beeswax on it too, and if it gets really icky, I just buy more. They'll make more. Not a big deal. So gesso's important, always with a knife. I also don't usually put knife in gel medium because gel is glue. Or I don't put a brush, sorry. I don't put a brush in gel because cleaning gel out of a brush is I'd rather poke my eyes out with sharp sticks than clean gel out of a brush. That's just not fun. So let me get this out of the way. Grab my dry one. So have a fondle. This is the dry gesso. Gives a little bit of a ground. See how thin it is? You don't have to put it on super thick. Thin coat is just a-okay fine. There are cool things you can do with thick layers of gesso, but the price that you pay for thick layers is the time that it takes to dry. So in a store setting, it's not, you know, awesome to have a gesso layer that takes 4 hours to dry. So thin coat is perfect. So, you know, I was told, design your paint whatever you like. So this is gospel according to Dina. This is what I love, you know. Do I already have paint? Tim was like, how do you get paint everywhere? Well, that's how. I already have it on my shirt. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. No big deal. I like a heavy body paint. So what that means is when I squeeze this out, it's going to hold a bead. See that? It's not going to just fluid out and spread out. Because I am a reborn 1950s abstract expressionist. And I love art in which you can see the brush stroke. I want to see the hand of the artist. I want to touch out, you know, and rub my hands down it because it's bumpy, and you want to feel the texture. Okay, so I wanted it to have this kind of a body. That said, I also wanted it to spread. So they did such an awesome job coming up with what I requested. Who says paper towels are for unrolling? So what I want you to do is try it. Spread that paint around for me. It spreads like butter. Like butter? Like butter. Like seriously, try it. Yeah. Try it, pass the brush. Isn't it yummy?
Nice, yeah. It is.
And what do you think of the brush? So my request for the brush was, anyone else want a fondle? Go for it.
Of course Kate wants a fondle.
My request for the brushes is that they had a stiff bristle. Because again, if your bristles are really soft, guess what happens? You get that wonderful blendy look, which so many artists are awesome at. I don't want to be blendy. I always tell people, still try it. I always tell people if you want to learn how to paint a face that's really beautiful and blendy, I am not your gal. What I want to see is, you know, all that wonderful patchiness and brushstrokey stuff. So the hand of the artist, I want to see it. I want to know that's yours. I want to see your blood, sweat, and tears in there. That's what I want. Isn't it cool? Okay, so the paint's lovely, lovely. It's just awesome, blossom. The brushes have a nice stiff bristle. They come in this flat, also a smaller flat, because this is my most used brush for painting. And this is just a personal preference. I was teaching in Australia, and there's this famous Australian mixed media artist in my class. And first of all, I was like, why are you here? This is kind of this is way embarrassing. She was lovely. And I would say, oh, I use a small flat to paint. What do you use? And she would say, a round. And I'd go, oh. And then I would say, oh, and I use heavy body paint. What do you use? And she would say, fluid. And so there's no right or wrong. And that's one of the most awesome things about what we do. You can just do it. Whatever floats your boat is right. The answer to everything is yes. Should I use this or this? Yes. That's what you should. And then I also have 2 sizes of rounds as well. Because, detail work, if you prefer a round, there, I've got you covered. When you're painting eyes or little small details, you need a round, right? You've got to have both. They're available in 4s and singles. So the paint is very spreadable. Let me show you a couple techniques that I love with it. So I designed stencils, which are the bread and butter of my world. I love stencils. But I also designed 4 sets of masks and stencils. So this is the stencil, this is the mask, because you can get so many interesting layering possibilities when you have both the positive and the negative of the image. And I hope to do even more, because I've really been obsessed with this concept. In fact, this little birdie, you might go look at my samples and see on everything. And I don't get sick of using the same image and motif. That's not a rut. That is creative motif. If Picasso can use rose for 5 years and blue for 3 years, I can use a heart my whole life. Okay. So I'm going to lay my stencil down on that wet paint, and I'm going to rub. This works because there's a gesso underlayer.
Oh my God.
If your gesso is not there, it will not work. You will chew up your paper. Okay. This is called reduction stenciling. I do it on everything. If I'm making a card, I do it. If I'm making a scrapbook page, I do it.
Real.
Does it, so if it's completely dry?
It will not work.
Got it.
Here's the thing. If it's completely dry, go get your nail polish remover or your rubbing alcohol, and you can get some of it up still. If it's really bugging you. But for the most part, baby wipes, or I don't know where my Inky Binkies went. Oh, they're on the floor. The Inky Binky, just spray a little water onto it, and you get that texture.
How long does it take to dry?
Well, the answer to that is, where do you live?
All right. It's very cold.
Okay. It's the humidity It just depends on humidity.
Are we talking a minute or 10 minutes?
I really can't even say. In Arizona, I also don't wait for layers to dry, because I generally put my paint on quite thin. I'm generally dry brushing it, because if you're adding a lot of water to your paint, then it's going to take a while. If you're dry brushing it, I don't know. I'm super impatient and impulsive, and I want to go. I want to go, go, go. So I work in 4 journals at a time. So if this were at home and not dry, this would be thrown behind me on the floor, and then I'd be grabbing this one back. And then I'd be like, okay, it's time to journal, blah, 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 okay? So I just don't know. Jill, she left. Her store's in Florida, and her customers give me the hardest time because they're like, well, you live in Arizona, and stuff dries there. I'm like, I promise it will dry here. It does take longer. Yeah. And I do have to realize, oh yeah, Florida, let's add some more. Let's do some other tasks in the class. Anyway, all right, so that is the stencil. I'm going to use the mask as well. Masks, generally, you're going to lay down, spray over, paint over, and then you pull it up, and you've got that negative. Well, lately, I'm obsessed with doing it a little bit differently. So let me choose another color. And Tim yesterday was like, why are you covered in paint? This is why. So I'm going to lay that down, get a little paint down, lay the mask down, and then I'm going to rub. And people will email me and say, how do you keep your stencils down? And I want to go, finger. They don't need adhesive on the back. You use your finger. Okay? So then I'm going to pull this up. And I get, oh, I love it. I just want to rub it one more little bit. I get a textury, interesting part going on. Isn't that cool? And then, because you have both the positive and the negative, oh, sorry, Julie. Both the positive and the negative of the image, of the shape, you can really, oh, I'm sorry, Kate.
Sorry.
I still want to work on it. You can kind of push the imagery to really be under in many different complex layers. And it looks complex, but all you're doing is rubbing. It's rubbing. People will be like, oh, it looks hard. I'm like, oh, I don't do anything hard. I don't even hang up my laundry. That's hard. So I like things in groups of 3 or 1s, 3s, or 5s. I don't even like my TV on an odd number on the volume or on an even number. I'm like, don't leave it on 12. Turn it to 11. Okay. And then, yeah, let's just do one more here. So you've got your background going. The paints just, oh yummy. They just blend together lovely. I did not expressly say these must be mixable. That said, all those flesh tones on those faces over there that I painted, I mixed by mixing red, yellow, and blue. If you mix the 3 primary colors, you get brown. And then you mix white and it starts looking like foundation.
Flashy.
And then you add more and more or less white, depending on how dark or light your skin tone you want it to be. Okay. Then you can stamp on this. People will say, what do I do for a focal point? And the answer is yes. You draw, you collage, you paint, you put a photograph. You get your focal point down. You can rubber stamp right on there. I live and die by archival ink pads because I need an ink that will dry on paint, and these will. The paint knocks down to a satin finish. It's not super, super glossy, because have you ever tried to journal on glossy paint?
Yeah.
Doesn't work. FYI.
Now, does your paint really need to be dry for this part?
I don't know.
The answer is yes. Yes to everything.
I don't wait for anything to dry.
You just take what you get when you do what you do.
Exactly. And again, because I'm putting layers on so thinly, I'm not going to end up with some really extensive drying time. When I teach classes, I move them at a clip, don't I, Jill? I mean, I'm like, I hope you ate your Cheerios, because we are hustling, baby. Because if we hustle, well, first of all, if you move fast, it doesn't turn out any better than if you move slow. I mean, if you move slow, you think, oh, it's going to be perfect because you're thinking. Don't think, just do, and then you get awesomeness.
What's in your brush?
It's Dilutions black ink. Okay, so I can finish. I can give her a hat. I can paint her in. I can color her in with crayons. I'm not a Copic girl because I really don't enjoy coloring that much. So, but if you're a Copic person, these all Copic'd out. Can you just send me some samples? I would love to see. Give me a buzz, and I'll get some help from you. Get going on there. Then you've got the bodies in which you can stencil even more. Let's choose. I've already got a lot of pink going on in there. Let's do orange. Okay, this is my personal craft sheet from home. That shows you my issues with cleaning right there. I don't clean my craft sheet. All right. Stencil. I love to paint deli paper. If I feel like being creative but I don't want to make anything, I paint 50 pieces of deli paper. And then I cut those up, and those end up as my collage elements in my journals as well. Okay. So super fun. The stamps are great if you think you can't draw. I'm here to tell you you can, because I told people for years I couldn't draw. Guess what? I can, so can you. But the stamps are fun when you just don't want to, or you feel like you can't yet, if I haven't convinced you yet, to get great little images in there. These are fun. I did these to show you how you can water down my acrylics, and they start to look a little watercolory. So this is just gesso through a stencil, dry. And then I'm going to put a little acrylic and water on there. I need to pull out my, ooh, a bath.
Yes.
You get a bath and a demo. Isn't that fabulous?
Ooh, I'll look parsy. Well, you made us get up so early.
Oh,
We didn't have time.
that was not mine. Don't blame me for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So as you start adding water to the paint, and you're doing it over the gesso will resist it a little bit, right? I love drips. I went through a drip phase. Not in people, but when I went to high school in Michigan, drips were dumb boys.
Still
So, yeah, are they? Okay. All right. So, cool little watercolory look with a little resist going on there with the gesso. You could use gel medium also, and you would have a less opaque resist. Okay. But I've had really great luck watering the paints down, not having them break, because the official people will say never put water in acrylic. We can put water. Look, it looks amazing. We can put water in acrylic.
So is the gesso on there from a stamp?
It's through a stencil with a brush.
Oh, stencil,
so I came in this morning and I put it through, but you could stamp. Yeah, absolutely.